Hi, I'm doing a book review, and the book I want to review is Hell House by Richard Matheson. Now, I read this book almost a year ago, so don't be surprised if the review's a little off. It's only because it's been like almost a year since I read this book, but basically, Hell House was published in 1971, and this book is I know is held in very high regard by many Richard Matheson fans, and I am a Richard Matheson fan. He wrote a book called I Am Legend, which is one of my favorite books of all time. He also wrote a book called What Dreams May Come, which I read years ago, but I remember really liking that book. I'm mostly a fan of Richard Matheson from his short stories. I've read a lot of his short stories, and I think he's a great short story writer. I haven't read too many of his novels. Like I said, the only novels I really read by him were this book, I Am Legend, and What Dreams May Come. But, Hell House, I thought, was one of Richard Matheson's lesser works, and I know I'm sure I'm gonna have a lot of people disagreeing with me, because I know this is held in very high regard by fans of Richard Matheson, but this was my least favorite book by him that I've read. But basically, Hell House is about a group of people who go into this house in Maine, and I hope I'm saying the name of the house right. The Belasco House, I think I'm saying the name right, but basically, this house is considered to be like the Mount Everest of haunted houses, and what happens is, back in the 30s, a group of psychics went into the house, and only one of them made it out of there alive. Now, the one survivor of what happened in the house back in the 30s has returned to the house with a young woman who's a psychic and a professor and that professor's wife. And now they're trying to investigate into the paranormal activity that's in the house, and so basically that's the synopsis of the story. But like I said, this was my least favorite book by Richard Matheson out of the books I have read by Richard Matheson. And the thing is, I didn't hate it. Like, I didn't hate this book, and there were moments in the book which were genuinely creepy, but the book itself, like, I don't know, I can't really explain it, and then again, it's been a year since I read the book, so, but, like, I can't really say for sure what it is I didn't like about the book, but, I don't know, I just, like, when I was reading it, I remember I kept having to put it down and stuff, and I don't know, I just felt like when I read the book, I couldn't really get invested in the story. Although I will say, I'm going to talk about some of the things I did like about the book. One thing I thought was very cool about the book was, in the book they talk about, there's parts in the book where they talk about the backstory of the house and what went on in the house, and honestly, some of the stuff that they talk about what went on in the house is actually really interesting and actually kind of disturbing, and honestly, Richard Matheson could have written a whole book on that. Some of the stuff, like some of the backstory on the house, is freaking awesome. Also, one thing I liked about the book there are these two characters in the book, this one psychic lady and this professor, and the two characters are always arguing with each other in the book, and because the professor is trying to figure out a scientific explanation for why the house is haunted, and this psychic lady is a very religious woman, and the two are constantly clashing with each other over what's really going on in the house, and so I thought that was interesting. And also, the book does have some genuinely creepy moments, but all in all, it's my least favorite book by Richard Matheson, and this is just my opinion. Other people might love the book. Like, I'm not saying don't read the book. If you're a Richard Matheson fan, definitely read it and make your own opinion on it, but me personally, I couldn't really get into the book. But if you do like the book, that's cool, but like I said, me personally, I don't know, for me it wasn't really one of his best books, at least not to me. So yeah, that's my review on Hell House by Richard Matheson. Sorry if you disagree with my opinion. If you like the book, that's fine, but for me, this is one of his lesser books. So yeah, bye.